Let's go to some good news. As a result of the US election, CNN have started laying off staff and MSNBC have lost a huge chunk of their audience. CNN, back in 2016, their election coverage had 13.3 million viewers. But at the most recent election, just a week ago, they went from 13.3 million viewers in 2016 to just 5 million viewers. Oof. Fox News, by comparison, had twice that many people tuning in to their election coverage. It seems like people didn't want to watch an election coverage from people who'd spent 4 years lying to them. In fact, I suspect about half of the audience that did tune into CNN were people like me who just wanted to see how they were doing because we were concerned about their mental health as results started to come in. MSNBC primetime viewership has decreased by 54% in the days after the election, while Fox viewership for the same primetime slot has gone up 61%. Again, I can't imagine why people don't want to tune into MSNBC right now. I mean, who doesn't want to turn on the television and hear that you're racist and misogynist and watch TV hosts crying? So this is more good news from the election. The progressive left media have absolutely shot themselves in the foot with their lies, with their carry-on. And I had to laugh today with CNN. They published this article on their website. It was headed, Trump's win, I like this, Trump's win was real, but not a landslide. I like the fact that I have to put in, it was actually real, it was real, but not a landslide. I mean, it was the biggest electoral college win by a Republican in 36 years, the biggest popular vote by a Republican ever. Yeah. He won the House, he won the Senate, he won every swing state, and CNN has said, but it wasn't a landslide. They're trying to convince us that their predictions...
Well, actually, if you look at Grover Cleveland's second...
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about CNN, who is apparently on life support because their ratings have tanked post-Trump election victory against Kamala Harris, just like MSNBC. And now they're looking to cut some of their top stars, right? Some of their top talent at the company. They're either freezing salaries or they're looking to fire them all together. Okay, we're talking about mass firings happening at CNN due to the fact that nobody watches their channel. In fact, I think that the people who actually support CNN the most are probably people like me who just watch the network for comedy purposes, right? So that I can talk about what they're talking about, right? And to try to tell you why they're wrong, why they're silly, and why you should not watch CNN, right? I mean, I'm just saying, at this point, I think CNN gets more hate watchers than actual people who legitimately trust CNN as a news network, okay? This network is dying, okay? They're on their last legs, and that is what anonymous employees are coming out and saying. And they are very, very, very nervous about the next round of mass firings that are coming, because at the point now with CNN, they don't have much else to cut. I mean, they already shut down their Atlanta headquarters. What else do they have to cut, right? They've done a whole host of cuts across the past 3 to 4 years as they've continued to struggle. And it's just not getting better for CNN. And the reason why is because they won't take my advice, okay? And I'm going to talk about that. But first, I want to read about what's happening because you already have Chris Wallace who is leaving the network. So the firings, the layoffs have begun already. On Monday, Chris Wallace announced he was leaving CNN after a 3-year stint that paid him around $7 million per year. But Wallace won't be the only CNN employee departing the network in the coming weeks and months. Okay, so first and foremost, one of the biggest issues with CNN is that they're overpaying people like Chris Wallace. Was Chris Wallace really worth $7 million a year, right? Is there any metric that can justify paying Chris Wallace $7 million a year? Is he bringing in $7 million a year for CNN? I don't think so. Okay? And we're going to find out for certain because Chris Wallace apparently is going independent, right? He wants to get into the podcast space. And he's going to end up just like Don Lemon, right? More relevant than he was before because a lot of these people don't have real talent. They're being propped up by a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate, and that's the only reason they are relevant. I mean, Don Lemon is so irrelevant at this point that he's now quitting X.
Hi, everyone. I have loved connecting with all of you on Twitter and then on X for all of these years, but it's time for me to leave the platform. I once believed that it was a place for honest debate and discussion, transparency and free speech. but I now feel it does not serve that purpose. In addition, starting this Friday, November 15th, X is implementing new terms of service, which among other things states that, quote, all disputes be brought exclusively in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas or state courts located in Tarrant County, Texas, end quote. The full terms of service can be found on my written statement or on the X website. Now, as the Washington Post recently reported on X's decision to change the terms, this, quote, ensures that such lawsuits will be heard in courthouses that are a hub for conservatives, which experts say could make it easier for X to shield itself from litigation and punish critics. I think that speaks for itself. You can find me on YouTube at The Don Lemon Show, or on TikTok and Facebook at Don Lemon, and on Instagram and Blue Sky at Don Lemon Official. I hope you will join me there. Thanks.
Yeah, talk about fumbling the bag, right? Don Lemon, because he's extremely Trump deranged and so left-wing, radically left-wing that he's intolerant, he went from having a multi-million-dollar contract with Elon Musk to do his show on X to getting fired from that basically before he could even begin the job, right? Before day one, after being fired from CNN, to now he's quitting X altogether, right? And if you look at his YouTube channel is failing, okay? He only has 280-some thousand subscribers. He only gets about, 20 to 30,000 views per video. And again, this guy has been on television for the longest time, for decades. And he has nobody that actually really F's with him like that, right? Not like Tucker, not like Megyn Kelly. A lot of these people are going to find out the hard way that, yeah, your relevance was only because you were propped up by multiple millions and billions of dollars in advertising from these conglomerates, right? Not because you actually are somebody that people care about. People actually take your opinion seriously. No. You are propped up, okay? A lot of people going to find out the hard way. Chris Wallace going to find out next. According to news reports from Puck News and the Daily Mail, CNN plans to lay off hundreds of employees and some top stars as its ratings continue to cater. CNN's disappointing election night returns underscored the bleak future the network faces. In 2016, CNN was the most watched television network on air during election night, averaging 13.3 million viewers in primetime. Yet on Tuesday, CNN averaged just 5.1 million in primetime, losing to MSNBC for the first time in its history. I love this, guys. I absolutely love seeing CNN and MSNBC struggle, right? While Fox News is thriving, okay? For as much as they want to talk junk about Fox News, it seems as if people like watching Fox News across the political spectrum. Democrat, Republican, progressive, independent, doesn't matter. They all like watching Fox News. And the reason why is because Fox News, unlike CNN and MSNBC, they're actually fair and balanced. The network has set several viewership lows over the past 4 years. In primetime and total day viewership, CNN lost more than 40% of its year-over-year viewership last week following Trump's victory. CNN's declines are particularly concerning given the salaries of some of its talent, specifically Anderson Cooper, who reportedly makes $20 million a year. Yeah, again, Anderson Cooper is not worth $20 million a year. Just like Chris Wallace is not worth $7 million a year, right? None of these individuals are worth these salaries. And that, again, that's part of the problem. You're overpaying these people. Cooper, who does not draw a fraction of what Fox News' Jesse Waters and MSNBC's Chris Haynes do at 8 p.m., is not worth an 8-figure salary, nor are Aaron Burnett and Wolf Blitzer worth their respective salaries of reportedly $6 million and $7 million. However, talents with long-term guaranteed contracts are not easy to dismiss. Often, it's the easier to fire producers and coordinators who bear the consequences of network declines, thus the plan to lay off hundreds of employees. Yeah, so CNN staffers are already speaking out about this, saying they're deeply frustrated as looming budget cuts, layoffs set to impact struggling network. The industry is obviously in trouble, one CNN employee tells Fox News Digital. Yeah, so let's read this real quick. Quote, I am overall very sad and frustrated, one longtime CNN staffer told Fox News Digital, feelings which are pervasive throughout the organization among those who have been here a long time and feel a deep personal connection to having helped build the organization. The CNN source indicated that the layoffs would be implemented by March and that they'll be very meaningful to the rank and file at the network. Quote, it's a time of a complete and utter business model overhaul and chaos, extremely difficult even under the best circumstances, the CNN staffer said. Another CNN employee cited their boss, Mark Thompson, who has been on the job just over a year and has been outspoken about how the company will have to undergo big changes to survive. Quote, I am worried because the industry is obviously in trouble. I'm sure there will be cuts, the second CNN staffer told Fox News Digital. Yeah, so again, CNN seems to be on life support here because not only is their network declining, but the industry as a whole is declining, okay? And their network had an opportunity to fix it, right? I covered CNN very heavily throughout the last 4 years and the changes they were undergoing. At one point, they brought in a guy who said, okay, we have to go neutral. We have to stop with all the opinion journalism and actually just stick to straight news reporting. Okay, let's stick to the facts. Let's be neutral. And the CNN staff, they revolted against that. They said, no, we don't want to be neutral, right? So eventually that guy left, and now they're back to their same old propaganda, and look at the result. And if CNN wants to improve, they're going to have to become more neutral. They're going to have to be more like News Nation, which, by the way, News Nation is growing. They're experiencing rapid growth, okay, while CNN and MSNBC is declining. Well, why is that? It's because News Nation is more trusted at this point than CNN. If CNN really wants to fix their network, they need to start to fire some individuals who are overpaid. Like, for example, Anderson Cooper needs to go. You also need to let go of Caitlin Collins, Abby Phillip, right? All the propagandists, the overt propagandists at the network, they got to go, right? They have to be on the chopping block. They have to go. And if you're going to have opinion hosts, maybe you should hire a guy like, I don't know, Scott Jennings, right? Who, again, I think is the only reason I watch any content from CNN at all, because he is the best analyst on CNN by far.
Scott, do you think Biden was a key factor in Trump's victory?
Of course. I mean, he's had an under 40% approval rating since August of 2021. The American people have been very unhappy with him. But on top of that, what I find particularly troubling is that all these Democrats who are now looking back on Biden and, oh, he shouldn't have run, he shouldn't have done this. These are the same people who were all too happy to go on television every day and tell us that Joe Biden was sharp as a tack, everything was fine, he was up to everything. And we now know there's huge amount of evidence that he wasn't, that he really was diminished, that he really wasn't up to the job. And yet they were pushing that campaign forward anyway. They finally dumped him after the debate when they couldn't hide it anymore. To me, the reckoning here is, when did everybody know Joe Biden was diminished? Why did they lie for so long? And are we going to get a full accounting of that? So I don't think Democrats have anyone to blame here but themselves. Joe Biden's going to go down in history as a pretty terrible president, I believe. And on top of that, if you're a Democrat, you think about how he ran his campaign the first time. I'm running to restore the soul of the nation, to rid us of Trump and Trumpism. Today, Donald Trump is stronger than he's ever been, more popular, and his agenda is ascendant in our politics. It is a complete and total political failure.
I mean, Van, that last...
The rest of these people have become pathetic. I mean, they stopped being comedians and they started becoming political activists. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel out here crying. I mean, it's pathetic. And so my question is, if you're going to have a late night comedy show, at some point, people might expect it to be funny and not just a constant political screed against one party. And I don't know that this activism for 4 more years is sustainable if you're going to market something as comedy, but the actual product is nothing more than sort of lowbrow political activism.
These people represent the way a lot of people feel. Right. So it would actually be interesting if the Trump folks could actually make us feel like we're not going to take away your rights. And that doesn't make sense. You think it doesn't make sense. A lot of people think that actually makes sense. That is the way a lot of people feel.
That is their audience.
Is that their mission, to be activists and not comedians?
Well, sometimes the comedian does stop telling jokes and say serious things. And generally, a real comedian will have a serious moment in an hour-long set where I'm talking to you as a human to human, and then come in with a joke. But yes, comedians absolutely have the right to say serious, real things about the world. That has been a part of comedy forever, that we can say things that the average person wouldn't say.
Just one other point. During the Biden years, there was nobody that provided more comedy fodder possible than Joe Biden. I mean, he was walking...
He was made fun of.
He was absolutely not. He was left alone. Harris was left alone.
No.
They got nothing. They didn't get 10% of what they deserved. Anyone have confidence in the current leadership of the Pentagon and the way the defense situation has been operating for the last several years? I mean, from the Afghanistan pullout, which was an extreme debacle for which no one was held accountable. We've had spy balloons flying over the United States. We built a $300 million pier as a public relations stunt, which wound up killing an American service member. I'd say I've had just about enough of the so-called insiders running the Defense Department. I think we ought to give Pete Hegseth a chance because he's got two
insiders.
All the criticism of him is that he's not the expected Washington pick, and I'm just saying to you that the American people just voted against the expected Washington pick. So he's got 20 years in service, Afghanistan, Iraq, 2 Bronze Stars, Princeton, Harvard. Yeah, he's on TV, but so are the rest of us.
By the way, I
think he ought
that
to
listen
be
you
given
just
a
gave
chance.
is real.
Yeah. So if CNN wants to turn their network around, then they need to hire somebody like Scott Jennings as a full-time host, right? That's what they need to do, okay? Because, again, listen, here's the thing. They already have left-wing hosts. Every single host on the network is overtly left-wing, okay? So if you're going to have opinion hosts, you might as well hire Scott Jennings and let him host a show that is more geared towards conservatives. Maybe you will expand your audience, right? If that's the direction you're going to go in, okay? But as long as the network is MSNBC light, they're not going to be able to outcompete MSNBC, and they're going to continue to lose viewers. They're going to continue to lose viewers. This network has been declining for years now, and they still haven't figured out that, hey, maybe we're too Trump deranged. Maybe we need to actually go back towards the middle. Maybe we need to try to expand our audience, okay, and stop just trying to be an arm of the Democrat Party. But again, until they figure that out, they're going to continue to decline. They're going to continue to tank, even in the Trump years, where MSNBC, they'll probably recover a little bit. Once Trump gets in the office, they'll start fear-mongering about everything that Trump does. I think they'll recover, but I don't think that CNN is going to recover. And this is why they really need to get rid of some of their overpaid stars, right? And I use that term loosely to describe these people because none of them are actual real stars. They need to get rid of a lot of these people, okay? I've already named a few that I would get rid of immediately. Abby Phillip and Caitlin Collins definitely would be the first 2 people that I get rid of if I was actually making decisions at CNN. But yeah, get rid of those people. Hire people like Scott Jennings. Try to appeal to people more in the middle and on the right, and you can save your network. But a lot of these people that work at the network, they can't stand to be exposed to opinions they don't like. So that's also a problem. So you may just have to fire everybody in the network, to be honest with you, in order to fix it. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.